real life stream, IRL stream. So, uh, I'm going live for a reason. This is not for my channel. This is, for just for me to bring up something I saw on Facebook. So, I see that the Bills parted ways with Sean McDermott today. And I had to say good luck to him on his future endeavors. But I believe it is a scapegoat for Brandon Beane. No question in my mind, it's a scapegoat. I think, in my opinion, he should be the one that should have got terminated today. I believe Joe Brady should be hitting the door too, because he's a terrible offensive coordinator. Brandon Beane has been a terrible GM for the Buffalo Bills since he's been hired. In my opinion, being a Bills fan for life, as you can kind of see right here, you know, um, it's kind of getting old to see Brandon Beane, not doing his job as a manager, waiting until the draft, picking bad draft selections, not making a trade during the off season, doing anything to help Josh Allen get to the big dance. This is really getting old as a Bills fan. In my opinion, Marv Levy was probably the best head coach that the Bills ever had. There's no debate about that. Those guys on the '90s team that went to 4 straight. Yeah, granted, I know you lost all 4 straight Super Bowls. Yeah, well, we might have lost all 4 straight. I get that, but we worked as a team to get to those 4 straight Super Bowl appearances, and we didn't focus on just one player. And rebuilding around that one player, I get, but here's the problem to that. You need a front five to protect that one player. You need an offensive weapon, a primary wideout number one that he can throw to in situations like Saturday, and I'll get into that game too. So, in my very own opinion here, being a Bills fan, Brandon Beane must go. Terry and Kim Pangula, if you're hearing it from me, you're hearing it from other Bills fans. Brandon Beane needs to be terminated from his job and relieved from his duties. It's inexcusable what he's been doing the past 5 years to 6 years. Again, he's a terrible general manager. He came from Carolina. Every time there's a Panther player that comes off free agency, it always seems like there's the connection to Carolina to the Bills with Brandon Beane as the general manager. And we really do not need a Jerry Jones sort of situation in Buffalo where Brandon Beane is in charge of coaching staff, players, himself, and tasks like that. He absolutely needs to go. I think that should be another manager out there that could be a better manager than him, and it could get us to the big dance, and we can win the big dance, and give a big middle finger to all these critics out there. So today, I believe for Brandon Beane, you firing Sean McDermott was your scapegoat. But I think you're on the hot seat next, Mr. Bean. There's no question in my mind. Once again, Terry and Kim Pangula, if you see this, or if anybody sees this that's a Bills fan, I'm sure you're probably going to agree with me that Terry and Kim should relieve Brandon Beane from his job. Joe Brady needs to go from the offensive coordinator situation. I think, in my opinion, we need to bring back Brian Dabble as the offensive coordinator. We were really great with him as the offensive coordinator. We need a winning coach that's going to be in the locker room and get after these players to get the job done in all 4 quarters, including overtime. We need a coach that has been to the big dance and knows that we're a winning organization. And once again, to prove the critics, look, we can do this. We just need what we need here. And as for a GM, we really need a GM that's going to get in there and figure out the roster, organize, rewrite the roster, rebuild the roster, and figure out a way where the Bills could get to that big dance. With Brandon Beane in the general manager seat, it's not going to be a pleasant time for us Bills fans. I'm sorry to say that to everybody that is a Bills fan, and I'm sorry to say that to everybody that's going to be watching this. Brandon Beane is the problem here. He's the cause of all this mess. You can't blame it on Josh Allen. Josh Allen is one single player, and I'm going to say this to everybody that thinks Josh Allen is a choke artist. Josh Allen has done so much for the organization, for the Bills, on and off the field. He has donated so much to the Children's Hospital since he's been here, and he's had one losing record since he's been here. He's got us to the playoffs. He's had a winning record since he's been here in Buffalo. His record is outstanding as our starting quarterback. I don't think he's the next Jim Kelly by any means necessary, but I believe he is the future of the Buffalo Bills. If he wasn't, he would have been gone after his rookie contract was over with. So we're seeing a path here where we have the quarterback. We just don't have the weapons around him. We have James Cook, who's a great running back, but we don't have a wide receiver. We have Khalil Shakir. I think Khalil's a great guy. We have two great tight ends, Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. We have a great left tackle in Deion Dawkins. But the rest of that front four, in my opinion, needs to either be traded or needs to be released. And we need to look at a good offensive line, not during the draft, during the offseason. Spend some money on getting a couple of more better veteran players that have been at the big dance, either has been there, lost the big dance, or has been there, won the big dance, knows all about it, could be a leader on that front five like Deion Dawkins, and protect Josh Allen. Another thing that we really need in Buffalo is a wide receiver one. You know, after Diggs' departure, it's been terrible. Keon Coleman, yes, I know he's still under his rookie contract, but in my opinion, he's not proving anything. He's pretty much putting, you know, himself on the hot seat, so to speak. You know, and again, this goes out to Terry Kim Pangula. You know, AJ Brown wants out of Philly. You got Jamar Chase that supposedly wants out of Cincinnati. You got Justin Jefferson that supposedly wants out of Minnesota. You got three wide receivers that want out of their current situation. All you need to do is make a trade to go after one of them. You know, you need a good edge rusher, you know, because Joey Bosa is pretty much coming out of his prime. Von Miller was not the answer, you know, so at this point, you know, you need to look for someone that's young and that could be a team leader and be a guy that could be good on defense and terrorize the opposing offense as quarterback. Saturday was an inexcusable game. There was no excuses for that game, other than the refs bullshitting the Bills like last year. To the refs, this is for you for reffing that game. To Mr. Goodell, this is for you too, because you pretty much practically fucked the Bills over fucking 2 years in a row. And going into the game on Saturday, if anybody thinks that wasn't a fucking catch, you're fucking out of your mind. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Brandon Cooks had that ball in his hands. He was down with his knee, and he had possession. Gene Stachatour, in my opinion, another former ref, I think CBS should fire Gene Stachatour because he is totally biased against the Buffalo Bills. He's been biased with damn Bills every time they're on CBS. So in my opinion, I think CBS, you need to terminate Gene Stachatour, and I think the refs that ref that game on Saturday, I think there needs to be a punishment for you guys. I think they all need to be terminated from that. And this is my message for Roger Goodell. I would be now making it where NFL betting with the refs is strictly prohibited come next season because you're doing a lot of sketchy shit that you shouldn't be getting away with as the NFL commissioner. That's all I'm going to say about you. But as for the Bills, Mr. and Mrs. Pangula, you need to look under the microscope. Brandon Beane is not the general manager for the Buffalo Bills. He has never been a good manager for the Bills since he's been here. Um, Joe Brady needs to go. That's all there is to it. Joe Brady needs to go. In my opinion, bring back Brian Dabble as the offensive coordinator. Bring in a winning coach that has been to the big dance, and that could lead this team. And we can prove to the world that we could do it. We need a wide receiver one. And again, reminder to all the Buffalo Bills fans out there, there's A.J. Brown that wants out of Philly. You got Jamar Chase, supposedly wants out of Cincinnati. You got Justin Jefferson that supposedly wants out of Minnesota. So you got 3 wide receivers, and then you got a couple of others down in Miami, Tyreek Hill, and you got Jalen Waddle. But Tyreek Hill is a prima donna. We don't need that total diva in Buffalo. So in my opinion, we need to look under the microscope there. And on defense, we need corners. Trey White is not getting any younger. He's still a great corner when he's not injured. So Trey White is still a great guy. I would keep him around so he can retire as a Bill. We're looking possibly at Jordan Poyer, where Jordan Poyer could be possibly retiring it, this offseason. If he does come back, he's probably going to play one more year, and then he's probably going to call it a career just like Micah Hyde did. You got a lot of former players that are coming back to Buffalo, and they love the fan base here. They love the noise. They love the crowd. And 10-1 says they want to retire as a Buffalo Bill. So if we're looking at things here, we need a better offensive line. Other than Deion Dawkins has been a great offensive lineman. He's been a great left tackle since he's been here. And he's been in the Pro Bowl more than a handful of times. So I think, in my opinion, Deion Dawkins should be another choice to reconstruct his contract. Josh Allen, I don't know if his contract is reconstructed or not, but Buffalo, this is it. We got a new stadium coming up in July. It's going to be ready to go in July. This was the opportunity of a lifetime to showcase a Super Bowl banner for the new stadium, but the rest pretty much stuck up a middle finger up our fucking ass on Saturday. Brandon Beane is, in my opinion, is a loser. Joe Brady is a terrible offensive coordinator. I don't know what else to say here. So, with free agency going to be coming here in a couple of months, it's time to do some shopping, Buffalo. And I'm talking to you, Beane, if you're still here. If you're still in Buffalo, Brandon Beane, it's time to do some shopping. It's time not to be fucking around and thinking that this roster that the Bills have now is going to get to the championship. It's not. It's not. And again, you can't focus on just Josh Allen. That's pretty much where I'm going to stand on this whole ordeal. So, a message to Roger Goodell. Terminate the refs that fucked up the game like last year for the Bills. And when the winter or spring meetings occur this year before the preseason, in my opinion, Mr. Goodell, you need to tell these refs that there's no more betting to get their paychecks, because this is getting old. This is getting old in a hurry, screwing teams out of chances, especially the Buffalo Bills. I don't know what your issue is with the Bills. I don't know what the goddamn refs issues are with the Bills, but this bullshit with the betting when the Bills are in the playoffs, it's getting fucking old. And it's time to terminate them. And if they get caught betting during the playoffs, they're immediately terminated after the game. That's my opinion here. Other than that, I honestly think also Roger Goodell should step down. I think he's a terrible commissioner. I don't think he should be anywhere near the NFL. I think we need a commissioner in there that is going to lay down the law with these refs. And to my message to CBS Sports, after Saturday's bullshit with Gene Stachatour should be terminated from his job for being a former ref himself and being biased about that game. Gene Stachatour should be terminated. There's no point, and even there's no debate there. Gene Statutor should be terminated from his job after making the bullshit calls with his mouth on that game on Saturday. Point blank, period. That's my opinion on that. So CBS Sport, you might want to think about that too. I think Gene Statutor should be terminated. I think Roger Goodell should be resigned from his position. Mr. and Mrs. Pangula, you need to look under the microscope with Brandon Beane because he's a terrible general manager. And we need to get rid of Beane, and we need to get rid of Joe Brady. Bring back Brian Daboll as our offensive coordinator. We were great with Brian Daboll as our coordinator. We need a winning head coach that has been to the Super Bowl, has a ring on his finger, and that can motivate this team when we're in the playoffs, and we're not a second half team. It's starting to get old watching these games, especially come playoff time. And Bills fans, I'm sure that there's going to be probably some Bills fans that are going to disagree with me on this. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of them that are. But one thing's for certain, Brandon Beane needs to go. There's no debate here. Brandon Beane needs to go. Joe Brady needs to get let go. We need to do something this offseason. And to answer the question with Sean McDermott, I don't know. If we got rid of Beane and McDermott was here, maybe a different outcome. But Beane did it as a scapegoat because he knew he was on the hot seat. That's where I stand on it. So other than that, that's just this little 16, 17-minute video. Bills fans, let me know what you think in the comments. No hateful comments on this. This is just my take on things that need to be done differently in Buffalo. And hopefully they get done correctly. But we'll see. But other than that, guys, I'm out. See ya. Peace.